Hey everybody, hope your weekend's going well so far. I'm going to try to crank out these videos explaining every problem on the review guide. I hope you're taking advantage of the different tools I've provided you to review. Make sure you're checking Edline. I've posted stuff throughout the calendar on things you can be doing to review. We're going to start with graphing and transformations. As you can see, I have the first problem ready to go here. So just a reminder, I'm going to give you the parent functions because I'm not testing you on your ability to memorize the parent functions. I'm testing you on your ability to apply the transformations. So the parent function for this first one is f of x equals the cube root of x squared. The bird function, as some of you like to call it. So right off the bat, we notice that this thing has been flipped vertically. And also it's been shifted, and it looks like it possibly is stretched even. So some of you have been struggling with how to tell if it's been stretched or not, so we'll talk about that. So the first thing is if it's been flipped vertically, that means it's affecting outputs, which means that we need to have a negative sign on the outside of our cube root. So here's our transform function. It's going to equal negative cube root. Okay, and then now it's also been shifted to the right, which means inputs are being affected. So we have to affect our input of x, and we remember that if it's been shifted to the right, then that means that it's subtraction. So we have x minus 2 squared, and then it also looks like it's been shifted down by 1, so that's an output because it's down. So on the outside of everything that's happening, we're going to subtract 1. Okay, so now let's deal with the stretch. Okay, so normally with the cube root of x function, well, when we plug in 1, we get 1 squared, and the cube root of 1 is 1, so we'd get 1. So we would normally be going over 1, down 1 in this case because it's been reflected, but we're going over 1, down 1, 2, 3, over 1, down 1, 2, 3. So that means this is negative 3 times the cube root of x minus 2 squared minus 1, and that is our final answer. There it is. Nice job, us. Okay. Now let's check out the next one. Some of you are struggling with this one on Friday because it's hard to identify the parent function, but if you just even pause the video and flip your computer upside down or whatever you're watching this on, it's pretty clear that this is actually just the square root x function. But the reason it's confusing is because it has been reflected horizontally and vertically. So I'll draw the original on there. There it is. Okay. So if you were to flip that horizontally, flip it vertically, you'd be left with what we have on the graph now. But the other thing that's happening though is we can see that it's been shifted. Okay, the starting point for it is up here. Okay, so let's deal with the shift first, and then we'll deal with the reflections. So it looks like it's been shifted right 3 up 2, so we'll say square root of x minus 3 plus 2. Okay, that's our first shift. Let's do this in stages. Translations. Okay, now let's deal with the flips. Okay, well, it's been flipped vertically, which means the outputs are being affected, so there's for sure going to be a negative on the outside of our square root sign. But then our inputs are also being reflected, so there's going to be a negative on the inside of our square root sign. So how we can do that is we have to make sure we multiply our whole input, negative x minus 3, or x minus 3. Okay, so the negative's on the outside now, and then we're adding 2. Okay, and then just a quick check, make sure it hasn't been stretched. So we go over 1, we go down 1. Okay, so it hasn't been stretched. And then some of you may prefer to write this in a different way where you distribute the negative sign. So that would look like this. Negative x plus 3. And then we still have plus 2 on the outside. And that's our final answer. Final answer. Okay. So notice that when you distribute the negative in, it gets kind of confusing with the translation, but we still have to make this inside 0 to find the starting point, so we'd still be plugging in a positive 3 right here, which is why it gets shifted to the right 3 still. Okay, so there's our final answer. All right, one more. This one really trips a lot of people up. This is the absolute value of x over x parent function. F of x equals absolute value of x over x. All right, so the whole point of this function is that we end up with the same thing on top as we do on bottom, except the thing on top is always going to be positive, while the thing on bottom is sometimes going to be negative. But in this case, we don't end up with any negative because it's been shifted up, and it's also been shifted to the right. It's been shifted to the right 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's been shifted up 1, 2. So, well, the shift to the right is again affecting inputs, but we have two inputs here. We have an input up here and we have an input down here. So that means we need to apply the transformation to both inputs. We get absolute value of x minus 4 over x minus 4. So we've translated both of our inputs now. We still have the same thing on top as we do on bottom. That's the whole point of the absolute value function. Absolute value x over x function, I mean. All right, and then the other thing that we should notice is that normally with the absolute value function, here's your midline, you'd go up 1 and you'd go down 1, but it looks like we're going up 1/2 and down 1/2, so we're also multiplying the whole thing by 1 over 2. Okay, so it's been compressed by a factor of 1/2, and it looks like that's all that has happened. Okay, so that is our final answer. F of x equals 1/2 times x minus, oh sorry, I forgot the vertical shift, right? So here it is. Yeah, I'm sure some of you are sitting here like, it's not done yet. All right, so obviously there's vertical shift of +2, so let's throw that in there too. Throw it on the end, and now we're done. Okay, cool. So hopefully some of you caught that mistake. If you didn't, there it is, final answer. Absolute value of x minus 4 over 2 times x minus 4 plus 2. That is our final answer. Okay, next video I'll be talking about how to graph those functions in problem 2.